Troika is a brand consulting, creative design, and content group that holds the view that brands are a company's most valuable asset and that the most enduring brands forge strong emotional bonds with audiences and supporters. To assist brands in converting audiences into ardent fans, they adopt a fan-centric perspective that guides the way they think, create, and design. Their craft is a blend of art and strategic thinking to create a holistic and meaningful brand experience that builds highly engaged, loyal audiences. Using immersive live experiences, brand partnerships, PR, social media, and influencer marketing, Mission is a communications company that helps brands stand out by interacting with consumers from a cultural perspective.
Welcome to the Big Biz Show, featuring insight, analysis, and a lot of stuff that's none of your business.
Hold on. This is the Big Biz Show. I think it is their business.
Making the markets work for you. Here's the man with the plan, Sully.
That was a cool story.
Yeah,
Plus he's a good guy.
that was a fun one. Oh yeah, great guy.
It's interesting because when you're a CEO of a public company, you're still just a dude. And you sit there,
Yeah.
the reality is, we just went 4,000%. I'm on the cover of MarketWatch. The best part of that was he had no idea.
Yeah, I know.
When I talked to him yesterday, he goes, we're how high?
Yeah.
I believe there's two types of CEOs. One that looks at the stock, that looks at the share price all day,
Yep.
and the other that executes his business plan.
Yep.
That's me. Big Biz Show. Great to have you on. Costa, Todorov, McGillicuddy. So I like McGillicuddy.
Oh, that might stick.
Let's go with that. I like
McGee.
it. I like it.
There once was a girl named Allison. We'll figure this out later. Great to have you on. Sorry, band up there. You want to know who we're going to have on next, right now? Yeah, Greg, who's on next?
Oh, let's see.
Alon Goren from
the whole crew.
Here.
Hey, buddy, I started to take up that time, but pretty unprecedented news out these days on these counterfeit shares. I thought you'd be a great person to have because of the infrastructure called blockchain. And one of the reasons blockchain is around, because I think that blockchain is going to change the face of how we do business. In other words,
Yep.
I give you a potato, you give me $1, which incidentally Greg did on Saturday. It's a transparent transaction. No need for brokers, no need for, and that's what I'm interested in. How far down the road are we, Alon?
Well, we're about 60 seconds away from launching Spud Chain, and we'll be trading potatoes in no time. Yeah, so I think we're there from a technology standpoint.
I thought it was called Russet Chain, by the
Far
way.
away. We're far away from adoption, but not as far away as I think people realize.
So
right? I think we're in those days. Yeah.
You and I talked 5 years ago. We were far away from adoption because there's no political will. Now isn't us, now we're the enemy, like, well, I don't know about that blockchain. It's going to come down to education, correct?
Yeah, it's not just education, but it's those banks that you're talking about, right? Whether they're J.P. Morgan or Goldman Sachs or U.S. Bank or Citi, all of them have
but not
initiatives.
Layman anymore.
Yeah, it's not this weird tangential thing anymore. It's a piece of technology that they now understand how to use to their advantage, and it'll be to the consumer's advantage as well. So it's just about people getting comfortable with using it, and most people won't know they're using it at all. That'll be the time when it becomes really sort of ubiquitous, right? Like when you would start an internet startup 10, 15 years ago. Now nobody talks about starting an internet startup because if you're not on the internet, you're not really a business, right? So now it's just starting a business.
I know, because when me and Mike are on the line, we're looking up our balance. Okay, first of all, he said something and bifurcation in one sentence. By a show of hands in the studio, how many people actually understand the blockchain? I've interviewed Alon Goren for 6 years. We have hundreds of hours of broadcasts. I think it still feels like the light grid. It feels like a grid that stuff gets attached to, and there's coal miners. I think one of the problems, Alon, and by the way, I've tried to understand this. I understand the digital currency, and by the way, I believe that we're in a world of digital currency. When's the last time you had cash in your wallet? Like, I have the same 40 bucks I've had for 8 months.
Yeah.
Right? It's a number on a piece of paper or your phone. My question, though, is the apparatus in which we trade currency right now, write checks, is called the Federal Reserve. It's there. They have an apparatus. You deploy your stuff. Check clears in 3 days. You can float your check on Monday, and you're good for
But none of us know how it works.
But the blockchain, which you are telling us is transparent, safe, fraud-free. Explain that to the average Joe who's buying a car or who's buying a house. And I'm purposely picking those transactions that have a broker.
We go to buy a house. We go into our realtor writes an offer on that house, right? All that paperwork, 90% of this part we don't really read. We kind of trust the realtor is putting in the right stuff and doing all of those things. And then that piece of paper goes somewhere, they accept it, they don't accept it, you get it accepted, then it goes to the next place. Then your money needs to go into escrow, then there's verifications, there's all these things, there's all these steps in the paperwork process that have to go through humans, that don't have to go through humans anymore, but it's an old system that they go through. And now when there is a problem, when there is anything, we have to go along that whole chain of events, figure out where the money is, where's going, what's happening, is my percentage going to the right person, is the realtor getting their percentage, and all of these things, right?
So Alon, what makes the blockchain more friction-free? Because you make a good point there. By the way, during that process, Mike's yelling at his wife, what social number should I use this time? Hence the fraud. So what makes the blockchain friction-free compared to this tried and true escrow system?
You know, what will happen is the same thing that happens with any kind of technology, right? We're going to streamline those processes, but the difference between the blockchain and maybe the digital money we have in our bank account right now that the Federal Reserve created out of thin air
and continues to create daily,
is that we know what happens, right? When an account gets spoofed and created at the bank, there should be a record of that, right? And we should know who and what did each of these things, right? So it's not that the process will be streamlined because of technology, but the blockchain part means that anyone can audit it very easily in an automated fashion, whether you're sophisticated or not, which means then there's a fairness that comes in, right? That the insider trading kind of situations you were discussing earlier can be verified, can be seen. There's timestamps on everything. And that's where I think it gets really, really interesting.
Hey, Alon, and I understand that. And by the way, it makes perfect sense. So how are people, if you want to verify something, is there a portal? Is there a website? Sure. Is there an ATM card?
Yeah, I mean, it will depend, right? Because the certain banks may use their own blockchains or use certain blockchains and things like that will potentially make it harder or easier to track or trace. But if you're talking about Bitcoin, if you're talking about Ethereum, if you're talking about one of the major networks, it's an open source piece of technology. So actually there's multiple ways to verify. There's multiple websites, some that are meant for the average Joe like me to just go onto Etherscan, put in my wallet address and see all the transactions that happen on it.
Hold it right there.
Some might be more complicated.
Average Joe like Alon. First of all,
Right.
I'm struggling through wood shop in high school, and you're
I did wood shop all 4 years of high school. I grew up in the back of a shop that rebuilt auto parts. And if I could figure this stuff out, being raised in that condition, in those places, I think anyone can. That's the beauty of this, right? I wasn't allowed to participate in investing in early startups when I was younger. One, because I didn't know it existed, but two, I wasn't an accredited investor.
But here's the problem.
But we get to learn this stuff.
First of all, he owned the auto parts store. Number two, the fact that he wasn't allowed to invest, he had the money to invest at age 12. That's the
Rolls Royce.
Hey, listen, real quick, we're going to jump out of here.
I invested by buying a Coke machine.
Can I ask you something, Lon? Real quickly, talk about your new venture, because I want to make sure we get the word out of that, because it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, we recently started a new venture studio, which means we're investing in really early stage companies and creating new companies in the blockchain space. So any young entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs, anyone starting a company. When I say young, I mean the company is young and brand new. I want to know about that company, and I want to potentially invest in that company and help grow the company.
Are you guys investing digital currency? And getting digital currency back as a return on investment?
It depends on the company. We're investing US dollars, and what we hope is that the company does whatever is the best path for that company. So if they're issuing equity, that's wonderful. If they're issuing tokens, that's wonderful. But it just needs to be what's best for that company. As long as it's legal and the best path forward, that's what we want to participate in. We're early stage venture investors. That means we're long. We're not investing to get a token and sell that token 6 days later. We're investing to invest in a long-term opportunity and hope that there's an exit, and that exit might take 10 plus years.
Draper Goren Blockchain.com. By the way, we're investing in potatoes.
Yep.
Chia pet.
More to come. Big Biz Show. See you in a minute. Last name's Rat's Ass? Did you?
No,
I should turn off the mic.